Welcome to The Explainer. We're all swimming in AI hype right now. But today, we're going to cut right through it and talk about a massive reality check that's coming. I'm talking about 2026, a year that's shaping up to be a great filter for AI, separating the real game changers from the fleeting trends. All right, so let's just jump right into the heart of it. The first cracks in this AI bubble are definitely starting to show. And this quote from a general partner at Primary Ventures, well, it says it all. I mean, think about that for a second. When they actually called the customers listed in pitch decks, 9 out of 10 had already quit using the product. That's not just a little churn. That is a full-blown collapse in adoption. So that brings us to our first big point, what some people are calling the gross retention apocalypse. And it really gets to the core of why this experimental revenue we're seeing just isn't real revenue. Okay, so this slide really breaks down the problem, right? It's all about the difference between what's called experimental run rate, or ERR, and the good old annual recurring revenue, ARR, that we all know from SaaS. Think of it like this. ERR is basically companies using their play money, their innovation budgets, to try stuff out. It's not sticky. It's not mission critical. ARR, on the other hand, is the real deal. It's revenue from software that's deeply baked into how a company actually runs its business. One is a fun experiment. The other is the foundation.
And wow, this chart just puts it in stark visual terms, doesn't it? This data comes from ChartMogul, and it's looking at AI products that cost less than $50 a month. A staggering 77% of that revenue is just gone within a year. It's like, as easy as it is to sign up for these tools, it's even easier to hit that cancel button. And when you put AI native companies side by side with traditional B2B SaaS, the difference is just huge. Look at that gap, a 48% net revenue retention. What that means is for every dollar you brought in last year, you're only holding on to 48 cents this year. You just can't build a sustainable business when your bucket is leaking that badly.
All right, moving on to the second big problem here. It's this fundamental miscalculation of ROI, or return on investment. And there's a perfect cautionary tale for this one. You've probably heard about this one, the Klarna experiment. This fintech company made huge headlines by replacing its 700 customer service folks with an AI chatbot. The bet was simple, pure efficiency. Cut costs, automate everything. It was supposed to be the future, right? Well, it turns out the future wasn't quite so simple. The whole strategy just backfired, big time. You can see the timeline here. First, you get the big announcement, the layoffs, the praise in the media, but then the backlash. Customer complaints went through the roof. People were just stopped dealing with these robotic, unhelpful bots. And then, quietly, the reversal. Klarna had to start hiring people back to clean up the mess. And you don't have to take my word for it. The CEO himself came out and said it. We focus too much on efficiency and cost. The big takeaway here is that if you only measure AI success by how much money it saves you, you're missing the most important part of the picture, customer experience and quality. Real ROI is about more than just cutting costs. Okay, so all of this is leading us to the great filter itself. The hype is fading, those experimental budgets are starting to shrink, and what we're seeing is a really clear split. A split between the business models that are destined to fail and the ones that are actually built to last. So let's look at the two sides of that coin. In the losing corner, you've got strategies like synthetic media. These are basically content farms pumping out 100% AI-generated articles, and now search engines are de-indexing them into oblivion. Their traffic is just collapsing. But in the winning corner, something really interesting is happening. The verified human premium. Brands are realizing that human authenticity is a valuable asset. They're creating premium tiers, special labels for stuff made by actual people. It's becoming a new kind of status symbol.
So what else are the winners doing? Well, a few key things. First, they're turning their unique proprietary data into a service people will pay for. Second, they're not just creating thin AI wrappers around a generic model. They're going deep to solve very specific industry problems. And third, they're offering real hands-on services, sending out their engineers to help clients actually get value and prove that the AI works.
So for the companies that actually make it through this filter, what does the new playbook for success even look like? It's really about moving from just playing around with AI to building a mature strategy that's focused on creating real, measurable value. It all starts with a simple but super important framework, the build versus buy decision. This little checklist helps you figure out when it makes sense to just buy an off-the-shelf tool versus when you absolutely need to build a custom solution. The rule of thumb,
You buy for commodity tasks where speed matters most. You build when it's core to your competitive edge and gives you a real advantage.
Okay, next up is getting your own team on board. But forget those generic, boring training sessions. The smart companies are running these targeted 30-day sprints. They create different learning paths for tech teams, for business folks, for executives. They find internal AI champions to spread the word and help their colleagues. And here's the most important part. They don't just track who finished the training. They measure how people's actual workflows are changing. That's the only metric that matters. And you know, the secret sauce holding all of this together is something called the semantic layer. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Think of it like a master dictionary or maybe a Rosetta Stone for your company's data. It makes sure that when your sales AI talks about a customer, it means the exact same thing as when your marketing AI or your support AI talks about a customer. Without it, it's just chaos. With it, all your AI systems can finally speak the same language and work together.
So at the end of the day, this is what it all boils down to. The question we all need to be asking in 2026 isn't going to be, do you use AI? No. The real question is, can you prove its value? The hype is over, the era of accountability is here, and only the ones who can answer that question with cold, hard proof are going to make it.
Hey, thanks so much for watching this explainer. If you got some value out of this, do me a favor and hit that like button, drop a comment, and definitely subscribe so you don't miss the next one.